I decided that I gave already 4 introductions, saying each time they were going to learn the sheet of the GRA, and I get carried away into whatever I'm talking about. So we have like 4 hakdamas, 4 hours of hakdama for 20 minutes of GRA, which is probably about right in terms of ratio. But
there was going to say anything last week about. Start saying about why we bow during those.
You're like mamish being my Yitzhahar now. You said
you said I should keep. You said last week I was over the show.
Why we don't bow every.
You should keep it in line because you get lost. I just want to tell you.
Right.
I didn't finish it.
What? Which nakuda?
Why we bow during the place that we bow.
Oh, okay, very good, important. But on time to Steve until we learn this drill. I think I underlined the main things, but I'm going to go through it. So I think what I underlined represents what I understood. I think that's what the underlining is. There are, just so you see what we're talking about, there are 2 sets of the pareiches in the Mishkan, right? 2 pareiches.
Right.
So the visual here. So pareiches, this is a pareiches, and this is a pareiches, represented by those square boxes, right? Pareiches. So this pareiches we learned in the parsha. They took off when they transported the Mishkan, and they covered the Aron with this, because here you have the Aron. That the only ones ever allowed to get anywhere near the Aron Kodesh was Aron HaKohen, or the Kohen Gadol, on Yom Kippur. This was a very so what's all the Bnei Kahas carrying the Aron. So the answer is that first it was covered, and they didn't look at it, and they wouldn't relate. What's the lesson of the Chumash over there? That they should be zayir kivalas hakodesh. They will be exterminated immediately if they actually look. So it was wrapped around, and part of what it was wrapped around was, this is a Mishnah of all the different ways that they wrapped it and how they wrapped it. Even the ones that wrapped it were standing backwards and they wrapped it. But they wrapped it with this pareiches. But this is one pareiches, and this is the second pareiches. So you have the pareiches between the Kodesh and the Kodesh HaKodshim, and you have a pareiches between the Chatzar HaMishkan and the Oil Moed Kodesh. So, and here there was not a pareiches, and this is, as I explained, where all the sort of Gashmiya stuff was taking place. Cows and Atzei and Maracha and fire. If you want to know what was going on, it looked like a barbecue going on over here. Over here it was much more edel. They took only the coals after the Eish went away. There was no Atzei Maracha allowed into the Kodesh, and they would take only whispering coals, the loichashois, and they would bring that here, and there would be no meat and no cows and no anything like that, just ketoros. That's what would be taking place. It was the avodas hareach, avodas haneshama. And then the Kodesh Kodshim didn't even go there. There was Rikas Adam, which we'll explain sometime, but that wasn't really one of the avodas. If you read through, it's a good exercise to do, by the way, on Yom Kippur. The part blah blah blah, like everyone takes their nap then of the avodah of the Yom Kippur. It's like just fascinating. Like you have such a beautiful description of what exactly took place. So, Gedolim took that part of the davening, the most serious, more than Kol Nidre, more than the Elo, because that was the Ikar of Yom Kippur, was the avodah. One time spent staying in Washington Heights, and I went one time that particular year. Rabbi Soloveitchik, Olav Shalom, was in Yeshiva University. That's where I davened in Yeshiva University. I don't have no connection with Yeshiva University, but that's where I davened. And the Rebbe was, I think he was usually in Boston. That's what it was like a big deal. It was usually in Boston. All of a sudden he's in Washington Heights for some reason. Maybe it was right after his wife died or something like that. I don't remember the circumstances. But they waited for him to during the avodah, And like to watch this, I mean, he was like a go, and he wasn't like emotional crying, but there's nothing to cry about. You read the avodah to watch the way he was learning Mila B'Mila, the avodah on Musaf Yom Kippur. This was just an amazing thing just to see, just like it's such a Sefiros just to see. But I saw the same thing. I saw also like Rav Scheinberg. I used to spend an hour and a half just like sort of learning and reading the avodah. So I think there's two pshatim in it. One is that if you say karbanos, as if you bring the karbanos, but I think also like to understand that's what Yom Kippur was. To understand that's what Yom Kippur was. So, anyways, that's as an aside. Here you have a paraychus, and here you have a paraychus. Another word for paraychus, the Aramaic word for paraychus, is pargud. So pargud means the separation. Like the Gemara says, me'achoyrei hapargud, right? There's a pargud between us and even where the Nefesh HaChaim are, the Gedolim, at the time of the Gemara used to communicate. Shama koilos me'achoyrei hapargud. I'm just saying a pargud is a machitza.
Hence the pergola, it's the same word?
So that's French.
Is it?
I think so.
Okay.
I'm telling you.
Okay.
Pergola. Pergola's French, yeah. But it might be the same word as pargiot.
Okay, so the sun from the...
Yeah, the top and the bottom. Pargiot. So next time your wife asks you what do you want to eat, me'achoyrei hapargud. You want me'achoyrei hapargud. Pereg. A pereg is a... Okay, so these two machitzas tell you that you're in a different domain. It's a whole different domain. The difference between Kodesh Kedoshim and Kodesh, different domain. Difference in Kodesh and the Chatzar, different domain. Different Madrega, different thing, different Avodah. That's why there's a paraychus there. Agav, I mentioned that on Shalosh Regalim, it's important to understand that was like Shalosh Regalim, L'man Tilmat Lior. I see people used to come to be Oila Regel. So this was one of the big moments of being Oila Regel is that they used to open this paraychus. So the Hamoinam was able to see, they couldn't see into the Kodesh Kedoshim, nobody saw into the Kodesh Kedoshim, but they were able to see the menorah. The Gemara says, how could they see the menorah? The menorah was blocked by the Mizbeach Hazav, how could they possibly see the menorah? Okay, so that's a Shachla V'tari in the Gemara, but they used to see, and the reason why they used to see the menorah is because they wanted to see the Ner Tamid, they wanted the people to see the Ner Tamid, and to show that the people that everything's okay. Hashchina Shara B'Yisrael. The Ner Tamid, like the sneh. I explained the sneh sheinenu ukal. The fact that a fire keeps on burning and doesn't consume any fuel means that you could have toiv without ra. So that was the sneh, and that was the menorah. The Ner Maravi, and that was the Hanukkah candle. That was the Hanukkah candles that Asnei Nenu Ukal didn't go out. So everybody had to see that because people wondered sometimes during the time of the Bayis, like, is the Shlit'a still here? So when you used to go beyond the regal, they used to take away this paraychus that ever. So what's important, the reason I mentioned is that there was some access for those that made the trip. There were some access to seeing the Kodesh. And to see the nisim of the Kodesh, of how it went. Hem beis pargodim, pargod echad husayt paraychas hamavdeles. In the Sefiros also, and this is what he's talking about, in the Sefiros, the one chart I didn't bring because you all know it by heart already, but you have the Sefiros El Yarnos, just to imagine, everyone knows the famous picture of the Sefiros. There's a Sefiros book hanging around here somewhere. So there's a picture, there's the top Sefiros, which is called the Sefiros HaKeser, Labala, Kodesh HaKodshim. We have no Kesher. We have no Kesher. We don't know. Keser, Chachma, Bina, the Kabbalah explained what it is. But whatever it is. We have no Kesher to it. Where we start having a Kesher to Sefiros is when Hashem used them to be Boires HaOlam, as we know it, the world that we know it. And that's the 7 Sefiros. So it's 7 and 3. Oh, thank you. Wow.
You know what page?
They have everything in this place. Just want to make sure we have the visual to understand the. we go. This picture appears multiple times in the book. So I just this is the pareiches. The first pareiches is Keser Chachma Bina. That's Lamalo. That's even where HaKadosh Baruch Hu didn't use these Sefiros to create the Gashmius world. It's backroom, it's upper workings. You can't have a world without it, but it's not part of the like the Sefiros is like a prism the light goes through. And the light, as the Arizal says, the light divides into 7, doesn't divide into 10. But what light is dividing into 7? There's an R Ein Sof. So the R Ein Sof that hits the prism of going into the 7 is going first through the Keser.
There's a hint of those in the Eser Umos, though, in this world. Yeah.
Eser Umos, Eser Maimoros, whereas 10 Commandments, many hints. But what you look at the first 3 of the Asaris Hadibros, so the 3 is always the Hecher Zachen, and then the prism that we know, that we can touch and feel, like everything that's in the world is created from the 7 Chesed. Hashem made the world, He brought Chesed, and then He put a boundary around the Chesed that's called Gvura. And then He put it together. It's Tiferes. Avram Yitzchak Yaacov, Chesed, Gvura, Tiferes. What was first? What was before Avram Yitzchak and Yaakov? So, what was before? Adam Arisha Koida Bachet. We have no idea. I said yesterday this year, who knows what they. I don't think Adam Bachava, Koida Bachet wasn't even called Chav. It was called Ish V'Isha. Koida Bachet. We don't even know what they were. They weren't even people. They weren't people as we understand people. And I don't know what they were. I mean, the Rambam says in the Word of we don't know what they were. What we do know is, as the Rambam is Vayaslan Kosloisar, is not talking about that he made them leather jackets. He made them skin, meaning they were transparent. Somebody mentioned to me after the year that even an uber b'mei imoy, an embryo, at some point it's transparent. If you study it, at some point it's transparent. I don't know exactly what, probably before our boy Yoim, after our boy Yoim, like that was the transparency, which is so significant that was there. Again, that's Avram Yitzchak Yaakov is the world that we know, the tikkun that we know about, but the world of Adam Arishan, Adam Kadmoin, Adam Arishan, Koida Bachet, this is like a malach. It's not something that we could really understand. So there was a pargoid. Here was one mechitza right over here. This was the mechitza between the Kodesh and the Kodesh HaKodshim. Another mechitza was here. And these are considered the lower spheres, not because they're worse, but because they're closer to Gashmias. So like Midas HaYesod, Yosef Hayab Mitzrayim. Yosef was Midas HaYesod. That's where their heaven touches earth. Midas HaYesod. The godless of Yosef was Shmiras HaBris, Shmiras HaPeh. He was able to keep a secret, right? For years he didn't say that. He didn't tell Yaakov that he was there in Mitzrayim. I saw the Medrash says that Paro said to Yosef when he wanted to make him into the Melech, he said, "I see from your interactions with the people coming for food," and so he says, "I see that you speak more language than I do." So Yosef said, "Okay." So he said, "Now I'll tell anybody." Don't tell anybody. So throughout the whole godless of Yosef is that he was able to keep even his godless, he was able to keep it a secret. But Yesod and Malchus, these are the lower spheres. Malchus is everything is Malchus. Every piece of earth, every plant, right? Everything is. So you have another pargoid there. Just like the Hamonam, Malchus. Ein Melech b'loyam. This is the Am. So that's the 2 pargudim. Behem beis pargudim, pargud echad hu soid pareiches hamavdelos ben kodesh hakadoshim, shehein gimel soid gimel rishonos. That's the first 3 that I just described to you. Keser chachma bina, which the Balatanya, by the way, rewords to say chachma bina das, but it means the same thing. It means the same thing. Nobody's arguing here. They're just touching different parts of the keser. The klulim behechal hazayin shnikr kodesh hakodshim. Shulchan nikra kodesh kodshim, kodesh chad, kodshim train. It's called kodesh hakodshim because those 3, let's not go fast over these words. Those three, Keser, Chachma, Bina, have in it the whole seven. You understand this? Understand this? In other words, like, let's say that if something if something can come out, if let's say you have, let's say commercial I'm giving, let's say you have a prism that can take a light and divide it into seven lights. Al Karchach, all seven lights are nichlal in that first light. They weren't separated. You didn't see it. So it's like Zera Adam has b'koyach in it, a whole person. I was listening to just as a boss, I was listening to a dietitian speak. So he was arguing his yisoid that he wanted to argue is that for years and years people have been speaking lashon hara about eggs. So he says eggs are healthy. New science, still fashion. New science is that's not what the problem is. On the contrary, people are sick because they don't have enough of the good fats and protein. Blah blah blah. But it's all lashon hara. He says, but I just enjoyed this. He picked up an egg and he said, a whole chicken could come out of this egg. like a whole chicken, and that chicken can even fly and jump, and it's like it all comes from the egg. Like there's nothing more, right? There's nothing more in that chicken that must look to the egg, So like like how could it be? Like why are you being mighty sharper on eggs? So the Keser, Chachma, and Bina al Karchach has within it all of the seven Sefiros, and this is not so esoteric. It's just to understand that the world, as much as it's touch and feel, we understand Chesed, we understand Gevurah, we understand all these things, but we have to understand that it's coming from a place that we can't understand. That's all. So that's Kodesh HaKodshim, train, that the Vilna Gaon says. Train. You have in the Kodesh HaKodshim, you have the Kodesh HaKodshim, you have two. You have all seven, and then the Keser Chachma Bina unto itself. Kodesh HaKodshim. So it's not the holiest of the holy of the holies. That's not what it means. That's like Karbachian. It's Kodesh HaKodshim. Shein Sod Gimel Rishonos Deklulim Beheichel Azayin Shnikra Kodesh Kodshim L'chein Nikra Kodesh Kodshim Kodesh Chad Kodshim Train Harei Gimel. So that's one parecha. So Ubein HaKodesh Shuhu Vav K Dezer Ampin. Okay, that's Yud K Vav K. Leave it alone. Upargud Sheni Ben Kodesh L'Chatzer Oil Moed. And then you have the second pareches between the Chatzer, where the cows are, and the Atzei Amarachar is, and the oil Moed. Shisham Nukva. Okay, I'm skipping the Kabbalah things because you know all that stuff already. So therefore. But let's just read it quickly. That pareches takes you into the bottom 2/3, the Zer Anpin. The Iker Binyana Netzach Choy Yisoy, the Zer Anpin. B'Sham Koimasa Ki Beis HaShlishim Detat Hen Kisher Shein Beis V'Chinish B'Kesher L'Chein Tes HaKelim Keneged Tes. There's 9 Kelim there. Keneged Tes HaSefiros Mischalking Gimel. Okay, you got it right. Kodesh Kadashim. In the Kodesh Kadashim. Kodesh Kodshim. Kodesh Kadashim Arayin V'Kapares Kruvim. There's 3 things. What are the 3 things? Again, the Aron. The kaparis is the cover, and the kruvim on top. Right, that's what he said last time. What happened to the luchos? The luchos must be the aron. I didn't open them. So it must be that was an aron. It's like you say, this is a car. What about the engine? It's a car. That's what the car is, right? Sheheim, those 3, Alavai, we should be zochah someday to understand this, but those 3, Heim, Keser, Chachma, Bina. Do you understand what it means? That nobody goes there, and there's nothing to do there, it just exists. It exists, and that's, powered by Kachab. Keser, Chachma, Bina. It's powering everything, but we don't have what to do there because it's not part of our world. So the Kohen Gadol was misyached once a year on Yom Kippur when he was came out like a malach, and he went and he was there. That's all. He was just there. And I said last week that Metzias of Hashem, that Hashem is there and Hashem is powering everything, and Hakol Bidei Shemayim. That's not an avodah. It's not one of the avodas. That's a Metzias. The Metzias it's Aleph Beis that HaKadosh Baruch nothing would be if not for HaKadosh Baruch. That's the Metzias. But it's out to say Hakol Bidei Shemayim. I think it's a little bit missing.
Is it completely 100% associated with Eila, or is there any aspect to it of?
No, it's all Zachar.
It's also the Eila. It's only coming.
That's what is elucidates. It's all Zachar. Right.
Because we can't affect it in any way.
No, it affects us. What we can do is we can ruin it. We can ruin it on the way down. We can corrupt it. But it is 100% untouchable, 100%. By the way, that's not Hashem. That's not Hashem. That's the world of Atzilus. That's not Hashem. Atzilus means 8-cell. It's close. That's not Hashem. Hashem is something else. It's going to. But we're talking about in the hierarchy of the Bria. There's a part of the Bria which we have no kesher to. I just want to just internalize this. With the Kohen Gadol on Yom Kippur goes into the Kodesh HaKodshim. It's not about doing an avodah. It's about just that. This is the makor of everything. Like even now, you go to the if you. I'm not saying you should go, but I'm saying if you would go behind the Kaisel to the makom of the Kodesh HaKodshim. And to the Eved HaShasiyah should be menu. Why is it called Eved HaShasiyah? Should be menu shasas kol olam kulai. That's a good point to make on Yom Yerushalayim. Is today Yom Yerushalayim?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay, so Yom Yerushalayim. Yom Yerushalayim. What's the pshat in Yerushalayim? That from the Eved HaShasiyah comes out, sprouts out an energy. Should mean that from the whole Brias Olam came from there. So significant. That all of Gashmias comes from the center of the world, which is the Eved HaShasiyah in Yerushalayim. That's where everything comes from. After that, everything is Sefiros and until you get to the bottom. But that's the makor. So what do you do with the makor? You know it's the makor. We don't go there. Nobody goes there. Even today, nobody should go there. Right? You can't go there.
What is the Kohen Gadol thinking when he's there? It would seem.
It's not about thinking. It's about being. It's a yichud elyon. That's all.
Right.
Yichud elyon. It's not about thinking. It's
Right.
not about. It's not about doing an avodah. Because you're higher than Maisa and higher than Machshava. It's about being. But what's happening is that you see, what's important about it is that. The kind, and he can't even wear like extra begadim, right? I mean, he's not allowed to even wear extra begadim. Nothing, no shtick. But what's happening is that he's going in, like the Choshen is called Shemois B'nai Yisrael Al Libai. He's partaking the whole Klal Yisrael, and he's bringing them to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Like this is the Makar. This is where we come from. This is what we really, really are. That was the machshava, if you will, of Yom Kippur. This is what Klal Yisrael really is. And if you read the description of the avodah on Yom Kippur that I was talking about, Mara Kohen, Mara Kohen comes out with such a the yichud of Klal Yisrael with all the craziness and all the things that we do and all the politics and the sinas chinam and we're killing each other and everything else. Like, what are we really in the makor? If you go down to the Eved HaShasiyah, like, what are we really? So there's a place. This is the neshama. Agav, by the way, I must mention because I want to get back to this, and Ramesh is going to keep me straight here. But that there before Shmachloikis between the Arizal and the Ramchal, if the Kodesh HaKodshim is the neshama, so in our terms, right, and you can't see it. The neshama, but there's before Shemachlaikis if the lave is the Kodesh HaKodshim in the person or the head. Isn't that interesting? Meaning, where's the neshama? That's basically the question. Because people say, "Oh, my neshama tells me So I always tell you, Rabbi Shapiro says the Neshama, he always says that. The Neshama, like this. So maybe his Neshama is there, somebody else's Neshama. Like, I don't know, like, where's the Neshama? It doesn't have a, yeah, maybe, I don't know. It doesn't have a, it sounds like that, but it doesn't have a mikum per se. But when you take the Kodesh Kodshim on the one hand was like the highest, right? Like if you look at it this way, it's the highest, so it sounds like the head. On the other hand, it was the center. Everything revolved around the Kodesh Kodshim, so it was the lave. The lave is the center. So I just say, we just keep that idea in mind.
Interesting observation on this makom. I believe it's in Musach Midos when it speaks about the location where the Kohen Gadol has to stand outside of the Beit HaMikdash when he's doing the Yevodah of the Parah. Yeah. So Midos goes through that. He has to see, and it's a very fine straight line from there into the Beit HaMikdash with windows and the whole. It's a very mathematical thing. So he can see the parochis from where he's standing, a half a kilometer away. So the Tosfos points out there that there's a connection point he has to have. While he's doing this, what is he fixing? The Tumas HaMeis.
Oh.
He's fixing he has to connect visually to this makom, which is, we said it's makom neshama. It's above Misa. I mean, it's Misa Sameh.
This is extremely important. We need to.
So this is the spot the Kohen has to
Shlomo.
connect
That connection is where we're going to explain here, actually, I believe. Okay, further. So Kodesh Kodashim, you have Aroin Kapares Kruvim, everybody following me? Shehem Keser Chachma Bina, Aroin Bina, Moshe Kosav, Moshe Kasavti. I don't know what that stands for, Bechinas. I think it's Bechinas Kapares Chachma Kruvim Keser. And there you have it. Lachem Heim Beis Keneged, that Beis, Bechinas Shebekeser. That's a ches, Bechinas Kapares. Uba'oyel Moyed. Now we're into the next section. We crossed through the paroches from the Kodesh HaKodshim to the Kodesh. Oyel Moyed. That's called the Oyel Moyed. Moshe Rabbeinu hung out a lot in the Oyel Moyed, right? Yoshua, Yamish Mitoich Oyel. But Moshe Rabbeinu went to the Oyel Moyed a lot. Oyel Moyed is Menorah, Shulchan, Mizbeach, which Mizbeach?
Zahav.
Mizbeach Hazav. Neged, Chesed, Gvura, Tiferes. Ki Yadua. Beit HaChaim, Shar Tziroi Lamos. Everybody knows that. Menorah. So Chaim, check if this meets with actually what you know. Menorah b'daroim, b'shulchan b'tzafain, u'mizbeach b'emtza. Is that right? Okay, right, this is Tzafin over here. This is Tzafin. So now you have, according to this, the Shulchan is B'Tzafin. The Mizbeach is Be'emtza. And the Menorah is over here B'Daro. Hence the Gemara's question that if you open up these parochos and you look in, do you actually see the menorah?
And what's obscuring it?
The mizbeach
But the mizbeach's on the central
in the middle.
part, no? In the middle.
Well, I'm just saying the Gemara is if you're standing here
Right.
and they open the parochos, you see the mizbeach.
They could not get to the other side of the mizbeach chitzon?
So how does your eyes work? Now the menorah, don't forget, also just was facing, what's the right word? Perpendicular, sideways, yeah. So it wasn't
Right.
menorah. The menorah was like this. Menorah, I don't know if you can see that far. And then there was the ner ma'aravi, that's up here. So that ner was closest to the Kodesh Kodshim. That was actually the closest thing to the Kodesh HaKodshim was this ner ma'aravi. It was closer. The Mishnah says in Midos, you'll know, they were mocked, but it shouldn't be exactly parallel, but it was a touch closer than the Shulchan. So this is where I say, if you're davening for Parnasa, which way should you daven?
North.
Yatspin. If
North.
you're davening for Chachma, Yadrim.
Here.
Dor?
This is from Hashem.
Darum is the menorah.
Right,
Chacham. Shulchan is Parnasa.
right.
Tzafon. I don't know, by the way, halachically it means you should turn this way, that way. I don't there's a whole Mishnah Berurah about what he's supposed to do. I chuckle so much. Until else.
Doing both.
It's like all the
Cover
styles
it all,
of,
cover it all.
right. All kinds of styles of shuckling.
They're referring to the Mizbeach as Zahav that was obscuring. And not
Yes, the Mizbeach.
Chitzon.
That's right. No, the Mizbeach and the Choshes could have also been a problem. It depends where you're standing.
Yeah.
But-
So could I stand on the other side of the Mizbeach Chitzon?
Yeah. Yeah, why not? They could stand here, but they opened up this curtain. This is the curtain that they opened up. This is where people came in the Chatzar Mishkan, and they were looking into the Elmai. Okay.
Maybe that was one of the miracles, that everybody could see it.
Yeah, but it doesn't say it.
Yeah.
Menorah b'darim v'shulchan b'tzafay u'mizbeach be'emsa. Mikan ve'elach, now when you work your way out, don't forget we're starting from the Kodesh Kodshim and we're working our way out. So Mikan ve'elach levar migufan netzach hoid yisoid b'sham hanukva. That's where nukva is another way of saying, like Lashon Nekeva, yisarusa delusato, the receiving end. B'chatzer oil moyed, now let's move out to the chatzer oil moyed, kiyar v'chanoi, Now he divides this up into two kalim. I think that this is when you count the kalim, this is not so simple that it's two kalim. Kiyar v'kanoi, but a kiyar v'kanoi, umizbeach hachitzain. That's the outside, what we call mizbeach hanachoshes. Kiyar v'kanoi, two things are netzach and hoy. Beis kloyos, and they represent Beis hakloyos. And now, right, we're getting into the body here. Beis kloyos, the kidneys. What's the function of the kidneys?
Cleaning.
Cleaning. Right. This, in other words, your whole bottom part, we're talking about the spine, is all about cleansing things and eliminating and getting out, whether it's for positive, it's all positive. Get it out of your system. Get it out of your system. So that's the kidneys. If you can't live without kidneys, and they're so important that you even have an extra one, maybe. It's like very chashuv, kidneys. But what they do is something like the nutrition absorbs into your blood in the small intestine, and then it goes through the kidneys, and like it's making kidneys, the liver, all this stuff. It's making the blood, but it's a pure type of a blood that's going and then nourishing your organs. Because otherwise, without kidneys, it would just be and then the waste is being eliminated. It's also the kidney. So a person's kidney has kidney malfunction, chas v'shalom. So then you have to dialysis. You have to do it some other way. But you can't live. All this stuff would be poisons in the body. So that's the kiyar v'kanoi. Netzach and hoy. Beis kloi shesham mayim v'lechen kiyar al kanoi. Ki hein nukva malo, nekeva malo umata. Rum v'tachas. Kidul kamon. Umizbeach, the mizbeach itself. We're talking now about the mizbeach ha-nechoshes. Is yisoid. And now this Be'ech Mizbeach is Yisoid. Again, we're working through the Sefiros. Netzach, Hoid, Yisoid. What was you see in the Beit HaMikdash? What was this Mizbeach made out of, Reb Chaim? Avonim.
Oh.
No more Nechoshes. Nechoshes was just portability. It was why Avonim? Because Midas HaYisoid. Yisoid. Yisoidois HaMizbeach. So this is the it has to be part of the earth already. Midas HaYisoid has to be part of the earth. Mizbeach Avonim. Very important. Mizbeach Yisoid. This Mizbeach Yisoid, Neged Mizbeach HaPnimi. And this was exactly parallel to the Mizbeach HaPnimi. You have to have a straight line from here to here. Exactly. So the Mizbeach HaPnimi, that's the Mizbeach Hazav, and the Mizbeach HaNechoshes were in perfect alignment.
Which end of it?
The middle. They both had the same center. The center of this was the center of that. So you take a center of your Mizbeach Hazav, and you go straight down, and that becomes the center of your Mizbeach HaNechoshes. So Mizbeach Yisoy Neged Mizbeach HaPnimi. Why? Says the Goin, Ki Yosef Tmusi Kudin Taimel Yaakov Pashut. Because if here you have Avraham, Yitzhak, Yaakov, Chesed, Gvur, Tiferes, so the Mizbeach Hazav is Yaakov, and then everything that Yaakov learned, he taught to Yosef, right? If it called, not only that, Rashi says even more. Kol ma she'ira liYaakov, ira liYosef. Rashi says, whatever happened to Yaakov and Yosef, so it was Yaakov Yosef. Eila told us, Yaakov Yosef. So Yosef has to be perfectly aligned, but he's in a different place. Yosef, how you been Mitzrayim? I'm aligned with my father, and my father doesn't even know I'm here. Like there was. When we have to study the reunification of Yaakov and Yosef. So Yaakov was in the Oil Moed, and Yosef Hayav Mitzrayim. He was in the Chutzer HaMishkan. But they had to be lined up in any case.
22 years?
What?
22 years?
22 years. What's that? V'chein ba'adam. I'm sorry, did I skip? Ki Yosef dus ki koinen doimen liYaakov guf ubris chadhu. Elohushi Eloshi Yisoid Lavar Migufa L'chein Nikra Mizbeach Hachitzoin V'chein Ba'adam. Now let's take this whole scenario that we just described and bring it closer to home. Ba'adam. Beis HaPargudim. There are also two sets of pareiches. For this I don't need to hold the chart, just look in the mirror. There are two pareiches, two pargodim. Bein Reish Laguf, one between the head and the body. V'chotzer hakaveh. And then between your heart, let's say, and your lower parts. Remember, we learned Pshat that the Hasidim wear a gartel, that's the pargoid between the upper parts and the lower parts, and in the Litvish world we wear a tie. So we're making a pargoid between the Keser and the Chesed Gvur Tiferes. Unless you hold like your own. It depends where you hold it. The Shabbos. Chaim ba'adam beis hapargudim be'roish l'guf v'chatzer hakaveh. Hare gimel pamim eser ubeis pargudim. So because the GRA is math, Hare lamed beis nesivos kolin begimel svarim. You understand? Like the Gemara says, let me take you back to what he's talking about. The Gemara says that the Shmona Esrei is keneged the Yud Ches Chuliyos Shebeshidra. So everybody asks the question, but there are 32. Comes the guy and he says, I'll tell you what those 32 are. Like, all the bloggers quiet and I'll listen to the master. Like what the 32 are, because we're not talking about, and this I explained right at the beginning, we're not talking about the chulios, it's not important. We're talking about what's going on between the chulios, the nervous system. That's what's important over here. And there are 32 nesivos, he says, kolulim begimel sapar, v'chol alamed beis nesivos kolulim b'moyach. It's just so amazing. Meaning the central nervous system starts in the moach like the keser. It just is. And if somebody chas v'shalom gets shot in the head and gets paralyzed, depending on how the bullet goes in, his hands will be paralyzed, his feet can be paralyzed, his organs can stop working. But it's all right here, because that's koil everything. It's right here. It's koil everything, and then that goes down the spine, and it goes 32 different ways. So the guy so pashut, the way the guy understood things is that the Yud Ches Chuliyos is Lamed Beis Nesivos. What's your kasha? 18? No?
18 is not 32.
What?
18 is not 32.
What is it? 36. We all know it's Tzvei Molchai. 36. So the answer is because you eliminate the top and you eliminate the bottom and you eliminate the luz, and he's going to explain, and you end up with exactly 32. That's the lamed beis nesivos. Keneged leiv. Chol lamed beis nesivos klulin b'moyach. It all starts off as one cluster in the brain. Now think kodesh hakodshim. Think the kodesh hakodshim. Umischalkim b'chut hashidra. And now this is how he's referring to nothing other than the central nervous system. I'm not darshaning here. That's what he's talking about. Starts off in the mind, in the head, in the back of the brain, and it's not the spongy material of the brain. It's a separate thing in the back of the brain if you know your biology, and then it works its way down the spinal cord. That's how the nerves work. But everything is you see like this kind of like. Sacral, there's like a whole method. I don't know if any of these methods work. That's a different thing, but that theoretically they should work. That you can massage here and you can fix all kinds of things within the body. That's what that's all about. Kol halamed beis nesivos klulin b'moyach u'mischalkim b'chut hashidra l'chol haguf b'hen yavai hahergesh, and that's where you feel things. You see, this is here. So it all is right here. Starts here. This is actually the central nervous system back here. It all goes into the top of the spine, walks down the chut hashidra. This is a medical thing. This is not a Kabbalah chair. It's a medical chair. And all these lines over here represent nesivos. Nesivos of hergish. Hergish. You have touch in your fingers. You see if there's neuropathic symptoms. So that means there's something wrong on the spine, but more important, but we just don't know how to isolate it, would be something wrong in the central nervous system of the brain. Too hard to go there, so instead you can just, maybe, if you're lucky, it's just about one fluya sitting on top of another fluya and crushing the energy of that hergish. But what's important is if you're aligned properly, and I always give this mashal because it's a good mashal, I'm not giving medical advice, but if you sit straight, with your posture straight, you immediately feel better. It takes a second. Immediately, your head is clear, everything's clear. So like my mother always says, "It's the biggest Yetzirah." Like any other Yetzirah, just sit straight. But the being straight, actually, what that does is it actually allows all of the hergish to go through everything, and your mind to work. Everything is working. So there's so many disciplines, exercise disciplines, even religious disciplines, which have to do with the spine, including Yiddishkeit, right? It's all hishtachavoya and getting up like a chavya. It's all about because opening up that energy is a physical property that makes the whole world work. So if a person is completely opened up and working and everything's operated correctly and you're perfectly aligned, so now you're hergish, now you have regesh everywhere. Your feet can feel, your fingers, even the extremities can feel. You smell well, you can feel everything. Everything is there. Shekola hergesh ba min hamoyach, says the guy. Because all of hergesh, right, biology lesson, keneged chai chuliyos b'shidra, and it's keneged, what goes from the brain, goes into the chai chuliyos b'shidra, shekenegdam tiknu chai brachais, and that's where the Shmona Esrei comes from. Void chulya ktana b'soif hashidra, and now there's another little chulya, the soif hashidra, which let's say it means over here. Do you see this on the physical chart, by the way? Can you see this chart? Here's everyone has 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1. Like think your back. Like there's a spinal cord and then 1, 1. Except for this top one here, 1, 2. So this the biologists explain as a small almond-shaped vertebra, which is next to the vertebrae. And so Shiloh, whether that's called one of the vertebrae or not, it's there. Everybody has it. That is that one there. That's the Birchas Haminim, and that's probably, according to most of the Mefarshim, the luz that we're talking about.
The top and bottom.
Let's say the top at this moment. So we're going your sheet. So let's say it's the top. I'm like the Maral. I'm like the Maral. Let's say it's the top. And the fascinating part about it is that we have 18 brachos, which if you'll match them up, will match exactly the entire nervous system. And then the 19th, which we're not sure what it's doing there because there's no nerves coming out of it. What are they doing there? except for getting on our nerves. You see, they're the minim. What are they doing there? But what's fascinating about it is that luz, that thing right there, if that's what it is the only one of this whole business which is not going to decompose, and it's going to be there even for Tchias HaMesim. Is going to come out of the luz. Dafka the birchas haminim. Dafka
That's either the location. The 19th.
Either one, yes, correct. Either one, but I'm just saying the chart makes it easier.
Yeah.
Makes it easier here. And the pshat is it's there. It's there, and it can't be destroyed. So I guess the what I said last time was maybe the svar is that the birchas hamidim. Isn't there anybody here? This is the Gemara says. Isn't there anybody here that knows how to be masakin? The birchas hamidim. Shimon Apakuli was masakin 18 brachas. Isn't there anybody here who knows how to do a 19th bracha? We know that there's a birchas hamidim. What was his kasha? You're missing a vertebra. Where is it? So Atshe Ahmad Shmuel HaKatan, I think the word says Shmuel HaKatan got up and he says, okay, I'll make the birchas haminim. Because Shmuel HaKatan was the one in Pirkei Avos that said, "Bin fol ayivcha al tismach." He was the one who appreciated a good man. Ben fol ayivcha al tismach. That look, it's very close to the neshama, and you don't just, is it what's the neshama about the person? Even though the goof is doing everything wrong, what's the neshama about the person is not going to decompose. In fact, that's what's going to become b'tchias hamesim. All of this, if you don't bow down correctly, turns into a snake. That's the nachash. Let's get another couple lines here. Is that okay? Did I finish it? Here. At least the underline. Shekola hergish bamin amayach ketzad chai chulia shebeshidra shenegdem tiknu chai brachas v'oid chulia ketana v'seifa shidra shenegdem tiknu birchas haminim harei yud tes v'alamid beis nesivos heim nesiv echad shmul bein parakat savar l'chulia harishayna v'hu nesiv harishayn layadu I ayot. Now it could be that layadu ayot. Ayot is eitzah. Ayat means eitzah. It doesn't have any bechira chavshis, that thing. It's like the neshama. It doesn't have any bechira chavshis. See, we know in the neshama itself is the Rabbi Haber is going to explain. It's divided into three: nefesh, ruach, and neshama. It's also part of the whole. So we're talking about the neshama. Lo yadu ayat. It doesn't have bechira chavshis. Your neshama. What you do with your neshama, that's the bechira chavshis after that. V'lamed aleph hanisharim heim chai nesivos b'chai pirkin shebein yutes chulian v'hein nesivos b'soif chulia yutes. Altogether, you end up with 18 plus 1, which is 19. Hence, you have the Shmona Esrei yotzin ke'echad u'mischalkin lahei. Oh, and here Moshe is your vart. U'mischalkin lahei. They divide up into 5. V'achagach yotzin moed b'seid nesivos yotzin gimel b'beisigvos achagach yotzin moed gimel, which I'm not going to translate now because we're over time. Okay, thank you for coming.